Hello, everybody. It's me, Lemoni. Happy Monday. And today I'm going to be covering what my thoughts are on the dev update, as well as the roadmap that we have ahead. There's big things coming, but I just wanted to give you my general thoughts on everything that we've seen. I did cover this on my live stream on Friday, so if you want the full hour and a half review of everything and all of my thoughts, go over to my Twitch. I have a VOD saved of it, so you can go and check that out. Before we get started, please keep doing that weird YouTube stuff. Like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, tell everybody you know. I'd appreciate it. Follow us on Twitch, Twitter, Discord, TikTok, all that stuff. I'll be streaming today. I am filming a podcast today, so I'll be a little bit late. So I'll be around noon Central Time. But if you need anything, feel free to leave me a DM, leave me a comment, something. I will get back to you in some way. So how are we going to structure this video? I'm going to go through each section, give you my thoughts on what they had to say, how I'm feeling about the game. And yeah, in general overview, I think it was good. They were open. They discussed a lot of things, but I also feel like we were kind of left a little bit, wanting more. It kind of seemed like a lot of what was said was just like, hey, here's what we're doing. And it was like March patch related that we had already read about or something like that. And it just wasn't really fully flourished. And I do appreciate them doing these videos and being open. And I'm still super excited. And the roadmap was huge. But there's some other things I want to touch on. So this first section, they're talking about the March update, just an overview, a deep dive. They said, honestly, it isn't anything more than a simple patch note review and everything we did know. Here's what I'm thinking for the March patch. I'm excited for the blunderbuss. I am actually happy that they nerfed it already because there were some huge issues that were going to be coming if they left it in its current state. I'll be working with the blunderbuss a bit now that it's nerfed. I've been waiting for that. But I think it's in a pretty good spot. It's still going to be really strong, especially just because the current meta is either like a strength in hybrid or straight strength, or it's an int player. So a lot of the main meta players will just be able to throw it under their kit and still have success. So you'll be seeing it a lot as soon as it's released and it's bright, brand new, flashy, all that stuff. Other than that, as far as March patch goes, new expedition, that's exciting, but really it's not that much stuff. We do have those things, but the rest of the supplemental things that you can see in the patch notes, I'm still really excited for. I think my favorite thing from this is just that we can open up our inventory while moving. So excited for the March patch, but not a ton of stuff. I will say going into the future though, and we'll talk about this more at the roadmap, I'm really glad they're focusing on bugs balancing and updating and all that stuff. And then doing these little content spurts for the moment. We need to set a solid foundation so that we can actually move forward into the future and recruit more players to play the game and make sure it feels good first. All right, this next section talked about weapons in combat. Now, I thought it was a good section. We talked about the blunderbuss, got a better feel for it, although it was really just mainly stuff we had read in our patch notes already, but a lot of people don't read through those, so I was glad they covered it. The weapons in combat section wasn't really that much. There wasn't a lot of flesh to it. So we talked about blunderbuss, but the thing that really concerned me was this. I'm not sure how the devs stand on this, but they were talking about weapon balancing, okay? And they're like, hey, we decide weapon balancing on, what's getting played the most, what are overpowered combos, what's really just everybody using. And then she kind of transitions into, they're like, speaking of overpowered, how about the Void Gauntlet? And you can see my reaction in chat. I should make a video of it, but I was kind of like, what? How many of you are actually seeing people actively use a Void Gauntlet who aren't VG, IG, but they're seeing a lot less success? That is the only time I'm seeing a Void Gauntlet, and quite honestly, the Void Gauntlet is not that strong. And then they talked about how it is this CC rooting machine that is just overpowered and too strong. Quite honestly, the only root component is Scream. That was nerfed. A lot less people use it. If we want to talk about, they kind of said if people are looking just for a ton of CC, they're using the Void Gauntlet right now. In my opinion, that is absolutely false, as a lot of you have seen. Ice Gauntlet, Great Axe, Hammer, those are the ones that have the CC. Those are the ones that people are using. I'm not going to say here it's overpowered, broken. I will say I think there's an issue with Ice Gauntlet, Great Axe, and showering in Gravity Wells, and just the way that Gravity Well is working right now. I just think this kind of speaks to maybe the video being a bit dated. I know we did get a tweet about it, saying, hey, we're recording this today. I don't know if that was necessarily true, just because there's not that many players using the Void Gauntlet. It is not a problem right now, in my opinion. And I think I think the Void Gauntlet's in a really good spot, but I think IG, GA, I think you could probably leave Hammer as is. I think just some of those need to get looked into a bit. I think right now with the way that Shower is working, I think everybody can agree that it is just not in a good spot. And I think Gravwell, it needs to be strong, but I think right now with all of the bugs and issues we're having inside of Gravwells, we're getting better at like dodging them and doing things like that. But they're talking about CC rooting, all that stuff. Gravwell is literally an AoE pull that roots everybody in the middle, and it's kind of like a stun right now, just the way it's functioning, unfortunately. And then we talk about Ice Shower. Right now, Ice Shower will lock you down for like 2 seconds, and then you can't move, like you can't sprint or roll for like another two, and your stamina regen's messed up, and you're slowed. So then throw one of those on a Gravel like all the GAIG players are doing, and you've got a problem. So I just think weapons in combat, we didn't really get much out of it other than what we got in the patch notes, and then they kind of just missed the mark on weapon balancing, in my opinion. I'd be curious to see what all of you guys thought on it, but I just think it's a little bit off on weapons and balancing. Upcoming events, not much to cover on this one. I was excited, right? We have the Rafflebones, and I think they're adding in all the mobs for like the level 20, 30, 40, 50 kind of zone things. And I'm really excited for that. I think it shows that they're starting to go back and add like content for players who are lower leveled so that we can start to maybe build our foundation a little bit. I think ultimately at the end of the day, us players that are left are at level 60 and we want endgame content, but I think a lot of us have to realize that until we have a solid foundation, and this is why I was saying that earlier that I'm excited they're doing like bugs and balancing updates and just making the game feel better. But in order for our game to grow and to improve the end game, we have to improve the player experience at the beginning, right? How can we have more players and flourish if we can't even pull new players in to start playing the game? And so I know this isn't that much, but it's kind of speaking to they're starting to work on it. They're starting to look at it a little bit more, and they're hoping that they can start to do things that will up the player base. And this is where we talked about, double player XP too. I think that's big for getting new players in. Double weapon XP for the blunderbuss will be nice, but we're starting to get there. We're not there yet, obviously, but again, the game is not that old as much as us like to believe, and it could have used more time in development. But I will say again and again, give this game 1 full year, and then we'll really start to see the content take off. The big thing is making the game feel good, inviting new players to get in, and then working on bolstering the end game. And I know they do have to keep working on the end game because we need to retain the players that we have, and you'll see that as we talk about the roadmap, and I think that's why they put it out there. But I really like this direction they're heading towards of making sure we can bolster the lower player base to build up the end game. As far as events go, though, I'm really excited for their Halloween and their Turkalon 2022. They have a sick summer event they were talking about. So I think just given the Winter Convergence Festival and how cool that looked, I think we can only go up from there. There wasn't a lot to like do with it, but I think these newer events are going to have a ton of cool stuff to do. There's going to be cosmetics. I'm just excited, right? I think as we see this game develop, we're going to see cooler and cooler and cooler things. All right, this next section, I want to talk about some things, player support and moderation. So the majority of this section was talking about botting and reporting. They did say, here, I'll start with this. I'm going to start with bots, and I'm going to talk some other issues. Bots. We all walk around, and this is going to be my call to AGS if any of you are listening. I would love to go on a live stream and sit there and bot hunt with a GM that are in-game and just sit there and find them because I see tons every day. I've talked to multiple people, multiple sources. All of us see the bots, we report them, and then we still see them for weeks. And then you see level like 60 fishing bots and level like 50 something harvesting bots. They have to harvest and fish and do things for a long time to get to that level. And so that's just kind of concerning to me. So tens of thousands of bots were banned. There's GMs going through allegedly in-game banning people. But my biggest thing was that they said there was telemetry and some AI in place that, if they caught, a bot running the same kind of pattern or just sitting in place, that would be catching them for bans, right? And while this might be true, I'm just still concerned about how there's people like I have blocked on my friends list who are bots and then still see them online and then see them running the same path. Or you see a fishing bot that's been standing still that's level 60. Like, how are they getting caught? Are they getting caught? And I'm not quite sure how I feel about it, but I'm glad we're starting to take steps towards it. I'm glad it's getting better, but I will say bots are a problem. The amount of gold sellers are a problem. And please don't buy gold. That's just ruining the game at that point. But that's a whole different issue. But I hope that things are being done the way we believe them to be done. And I would love to go around and hunt bots for them. Next thing, mass reporting. I want to talk about mass reporting. I've heard of tons of players getting mass reported. and for illegitimate reasons. It's happened in my company, it's happened in other companies I've been in, and it hasn't really stopped. And then there is a clause, I guess, in the TOS that says players that do that will be permad, or can be permad, and that's great. And I hope, that does happen to those players, because I think that's a ridiculous thing to do. I think, it just kind of ruins the integrity of the game. So I'm hoping it gets improved there. Other than bots and those kinds of bans, the last thing I want to talk about is actually Lost Ark. One thing I've been a little bothered by is I've heard of several people, and myself included, who've seen something like this, where you go for a ban appeal, okay? Because something like a mass report happened to you where you got illegitimately banned. You reach out to support, and they say, hey, we can't unban your Lost Ark account, even though it's New World related. Or, hey, if you need help with unbanning your account, go to this Lost Ark website. Or even the creator program has gotten emails. They say all this stuff, and then they sign it in the limited emails we get, but they sign it, see you in Arcasia. And it's like, okay, come on. I just think it's interesting. I'm not really sure how our bot team, or our support team's doing, if we're getting Lost Ark stuff. It's just a little annoying, but nothing too big. That's all I have for this issue. We'll keep moving on. Okay, so they talked about community questions before this, but it was mainly some stuff I want to talk about the roadmap. We saw the roadmap, and I'm excited. Okay, there's some really big things coming here, and I'm gonna pause the video once we get it up on screen. But I think this is the biggest thing we have had from the devs ever. I think it finally gives us some directionality and some things to really, really get excited about for the future. So I'm just gonna give this YouTube video a pause. Sorry that this stuff's gonna be up, but first, we have the spring. So these are about 3 months, kind of increments that we can get things going and hopefully get a solid roadmap. But with spring, we know that Tempest Heart and the Blunderbuss are going to be coming in March. Big stuff. That's good content. It's putting us in the right direction. I'm loving it. But the biggest thing I pulled from spring, and I think everybody's excited for, is that PvP arenas and a PvP reward tracker on the way. I think 3v3 PvP arenas are one of the ways to start reviving your endgame, bringing more players in, and even bringing old players back. I think having a repeatable, fun combat kind of system in the endgame is what people crave in MMORPGs. Look at every successful MMORPG. They have some kind of grind, they have some kind of repeatable, sequence of dungeons you can keep running over and over and over again to try and get better loot and grind for something. There's a competitive leaderboard. People strive and crave competition. So having that and having 3v3 PvP arenas is going to be a huge addition into the game. And I think having small scale PvP, as opposed to OPRs and wars, is going to be more appealing for more players. Think about how many players aren't participating in wars, which are supposed to be the ultimate endgame content, because they just simply can't get slotted. And that happens. And so I think PvP arenas not only cater to more casual groups, but also very hardcore groups, and you cover the entire spectrum. And then new players hear about it, and they're like, hey, I want in on this. And old players are like, hey, I want in on this. And I think it'll be really good. Now, my one concern with PvP arenas is that you'll see in fall, we are getting leaderboards. And they do mention these are not just PvP leaderboards, but PvE ones for mutators, which I thought were going to be out on release anyway, but I was wrong. I'm just concerned that the 3v3 PvP arenas aren't going to be ranked right away. And while that isn't concerning, I think it for the most part, I think it is a problem in the sense of that's what players want. They want some kind of rated system. I hope they make an unranked and a ranked mode. And then I'm hoping that this PvP reward track is not just hey, play 100 arenas, get this cool cosmetic. I hope it's hey, here's my rating, you get this. And it's a sweet skin that is seasonal. And I hope they do seasonal arenas. I'm not quite sure what they mean by the PvP reward track, but I'm hoping it's more cosmetic stuff. It's maybe gear. It's that cool stuff that's hey, I'm pretty solid in PvP. Let me show this off. Summer, new expedition. I think that'll be great. Expedition group finder and summer event. I think the biggest thing to take away from this is the Expedition Group Finder. The fact that they will be and are looking into this. They've mentioned on Twitter, in their videos, everything that they are looking more into. Sorry, I'm just going to max this out again for you. They're looking more into the removal of keys. And I think mutator orbs are currently a problem. And talking about that repeatable endgame, right now in PvE, it's hey, I got to craft an orb, I got to buy an orb. Mutator keys are expensive, all that stuff. And people don't want to sit there and grind dungeons. didn't realize we unpaused that. Let's just back it up. Just a sad. And then I think having this kind of system for PvE players, similar to the PvP arenas for PvP players, will be huge. I've had so many people tell me already that they will come back to the game if there's a group finder. And I think a lot of people have just been waiting for that. As far as the summer event goes, they said this is going to be really cool. Again, with the way the Winter Convergence Festival was, I'm excited for more events from them. I think having more events is only a good thing, and I'm just hoping we get more throughout every month. Expedition sounds like it'll be cool. I think just having new expeditions with content patches is big. Again, we don't know when these will be coming out, but over time, it's like a 3-month increment. It could be, what I'm hoping is like content, bugs, content, and they just keep cycling between content, bugs, and doing that kind of thing. And then the last one we have is fall. This is where they announced the new weapon, the Great Sword. Again, more content. It is just a good thing. And then I think these leaderboards will be big for PvE players in promoting, more competitive play and getting some of those like Mythic Plus grinders in the game. People crave seeing their name at the top of a leaderboard and will grind over and over and over and over again until they see it at the top. We'll also be seeing Brimstone Sands, new expedition. But I think in terms of content, we'll see the most content coming in fall. And here's what I'm going to say is I think in the spring and summer, where you're going to be seeing more, they have these disclaimers I'm going to talk about at the bottom, at the end. But if I move my video really quick, new mutators, quests, encounters, ongoing improvements, balance, tuning, and bug fixing throughout. And I think you're going to see the majority of that in spring, summer. Because this is where we'll hit like year one. And I think the year one of New World is going to be making sure that the game feels good, flows good, and functions properly. After that, then we're going to get into the year one content of, okay, now we're going to start really pumping out content. We're going to make sure that players feel like they're doing new things. We're bringing in stuff for new players, stuff for veteran players, end game players, everything. And so that's why I think we kind of see this content progression, not just like systems in place, but literally like new zone, new weapon, new expedition. So also these events, the Night Veil Hollow sounds really cool. And I think their Halloween cosmetics are probably going to be pretty sick. And then Turkulon 2022, just go hunt the big turkey man again. It'll be fun. As far as these disclaimers on the bottom, like I was saying, new mutators, quests, encounters, ongoing improvements, balance and tuning, bug fixing. And then they have the asterisk at the bottom. This roadmap may change and does not include all planned content, meaning there is more stuff coming. There are things they're not going to put on here like gear sets. That's something they said was months out, but they didn't put on here, obviously for for the right reason. But this is not just the only content coming. I want that people to be completely aware. In summer, you won't just be getting 3 things. In spring, we're going to be getting more than just 4 changes total. There's going to be balancing. There's going to be, new stuff coming. There's going to be things to give the game some more flavor. And this roadmap may change. Things might get pushed around. Things might get pushed back. Things might, who knows what's going to happen. But I think the biggest thing out of this is that they're finally giving us a roadmap to give us a sense of where this game is headed. And I think that alone will hype enough players up to bring some back. I had people saying like, this roadmap got me excited. I want to come back now because I know where this game is headed. All of us know the game has the potential to be one of the most incredible MMOs out there. It's just whether or not they can execute it, create a solid foundation for the game, and improve upon it. So that's all I have for today. That's how I'm feeling on it. I'm excited for the roadmap, everything to come. I'm ready for arenas. I've turned into like a PvP fiend. I don't even really PvE anymore, but nonetheless, I'm excited. I want to hear what all of you have to say. Drop a comment below. Let me know what you're thinking. DM me if you need anything. But as always, thank you for all the support that you give me every single day. I appreciate it. Thank you for following us on Twitch. We're almost at 3,000 followers, so that's pretty cool. I'll be streaming around noon Central Time today just because I'll be busy. Discord, TikTok, Twitter, trying to get more active on TikTok and Twitter. That's my bad. And if you want to support me directly, feel free to hit up my Patreon. I've been a little lax with it. I try to do early content releases. It's an extra line of communication or just a way to support me if you want to continue supporting me in that way. But thank you for everything that all of you do. Follows, subs, bits, donos, Patreon, everything. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. I wouldn't be able to make content and do things if it weren't for all of you. So, as always, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And thank you all for being you. Peace.